tell us a bit about the book.
Okay, yeah, so we originally started looking at identity and the online world through studies that have suggested that the use of an online platform can actually change someone's natural and the real identity. This is because they may interact with someone one way in a chat room and then feel they cannot interact with that person the same way in real life, which can create anxiety. We originally started looking at identity and the online world through studies that have suggested that the use of an online platform can actually change someone's natural and real identity. Two researchers, Cassidy and Gloria, used the displacement hypothesis that looks at adolescents that spend more time online and less time doing daily activities such as exercise or face-to-face interaction. We dug deeper into this phenomenon by examining the use of an avatar online. We have always identified ourselves through our body and nonverbal actions. However, with the use of online environments, this has challenged both our identity and physical world. With the use of an avatar, users have found themselves sim-embodied, which means that users symbiotically unite their physical and digital embodiments through using an avatar. Avatars can extend human senses through technology and creating identities that are entangled within technology. This can also work the other way around, because the avatar character can be extended into the real world. For example, studies have noticed that when a tall avatar is used, the user tends to be more assertive online and further carrying that assertiveness into the real world. This highlights that the use of avatars can inscribe identity performance in the real world. For example, if someone is an unprofessional landlord with constant conflicts with their tenants in real life, they may dress their avatar's body in suits to enact the mature professional that they always wanted to be in real life. Another study revealed that those that identify more with their online gaming character are more prone to having psychological consequences, such as anger or sadness, when their character experiences a virtual injury or death.
So essentially, the problem at hand is that relying upon developing your online identity and making that who you are creates an identity displacement or disembodiment and fragmentation of the self, which makes it difficult for a person to participate in society without significant anxiety. Delving further into what my colleague has addressed, we identified that the use of avatars, which have significant negative impacts upon the development of identity in young people. Mark Derry, a researcher in this field of communications, views the current state of the online society as post-multicultural. Following his line of thinking, that there is a post-multicultural version of identity separate from problematic factors such as race, disability, religion, etc. that neglects reality and inhibits real-world socialization. Ultimately, you become what you create. Your avatar is your virtual proxy, and the presumed real person is merely a retroactively reconstructed virtuality. It's not an actual representation of independent pre-existing things, and because of that it creates identity crises in young users who are playing massive multiplayer online role-playing games, and as such they don't develop a normal identity that would work in active real social settings, which displaces the individual. A practical example of these games is the game Second Life, which is referred to by its creators as not a game, but an extension of reality. Together we found that young users, or users with poorly developed identities for any number of reasons, including social exclusion or mental illness, have a tendency to disappear into their avatars, and even worse, believe that the virtual life is the real and that the avatar is who they truly are. This makes it difficult to participate in real life. Avatars are modifiable in any imaginable way, which only furthers the issue of fragmenting the self, while another issue with Second Life and the use of avatars is that because you control what the avatar looks like, what happens to the self when the avatar is considered more sought after and desirable than yourself in real life? There's significant displacement from your corporeal body and identity crisis ensues. The concepts we have discussed here today can come back to Erving Goffman's notions of interactions as being a performance of the self, and also Walther's hyperpersonal model, which is essentially involving selective self-presentation, which involves the character choosing process, which are both essential qualifications to online avatar use as you select your character and perform that character, or rather the internal self that you're representing through it. So social media and games like Second Life are very powerful for teens because they craft their image and identity through these platforms and represent themselves differently on each one. So caution must be taken when introducing young people to technology and keep lines of communication open in order to prevent the loss of identity through playing and using these platforms to reduce the risk of over-fragmentation. But it's not all dark and nefarious. Across multiple studies, researchers, including ourselves, suggest to teach teens and young children about the nature of social media earlier on to develop their understanding of the online world and themselves. Encouraging mindfulness and self-reflection can help to moderate the negative effects of avatar use and fragmentation across social media platforms. Experimenting with different things to figure out who you are isn't a bad thing, and the goal of our book is to help protect the identity and the well-being of those still figuring out their place in the multifaceted and increasingly virtual world.
Wow. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight.